Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time we're focusing on SpaceX and their incredible launch activity in 2024. You sent us this news article about SpaceX completing their 99th mission of the year, almost a new annual record. Not only that, but this article highlights some impressive achievements, like catching a rocket booster midair. So let's dive in.
It really is remarkable what SpaceX has been able to achieve in such a short amount of time. Their impact on the space industry is undeniable, and it seems like they are constantly pushing the boundaries of what is possible.
Okay, so this 99th mission, it was all about deploying another batch of Starlink satellites, right?
That's right. SpaceX launched 20 more Starlink satellites using their workhorse Falcon 9 rocket. The Falcon 9 is a two-stage, partially reusable rocket. That's really become the backbone of SpaceX's operations. It lifted off from their launch site at Cape Canaveral, Florida, a place that's becoming increasingly busy thanks to SpaceX's ambitious launch schedule.
And the article mentioned that the booster for this mission was on its 17th flight, and they landed it again.
Yes, they recovered the booster on one of their autonomous drone ships, which is whimsically named Just Read the Instructions. This ability to land and reuse boosters is a game changer for space travel. It significantly reduces the cost of launches, making space more accessible than ever before.
17 flights for one booster. That's really incredible. It shows their commitment to reusability. And speaking of frequent launches, the article mentioned they've already launched 71 times from Florida this year, so they are on the verge of breaking their own record.
It's a testament to their efficiency and operational excellence. To put that into perspective, SpaceX conducted the majority of these launches themselves, which demonstrates their dominant position in the commercial space industry. They're not just building rockets, they are operating them at an unprecedented pace.
Yeah. And it's clear that SpaceX is laser-focused on expanding its Starlink constellation. They've launched over 7,100 of these satellites since 2019.
The sheer scale of the Starlink project is mind-boggling. This network is already providing internet access to people in remote areas around the world, places where traditional internet infrastructure is lacking. This particular launch included 13 satellites that were equipped with direct-to-cell technology. This will allow people to connect to the internet using their cell phones, even in the most remote locations. Imagine getting a cell signal directly from space. That's the potential of this technology.
Wow, that is game-changing. So they've launched 99 missions so far, most of which have been Falcon 9s carrying Starlink satellites. But what about their other projects, like the Falcon Heavy and Starship?
You're right. They haven't been solely focused on Starlink.
Huh.
They've also conducted 2 Falcon Heavy missions this year. The Falcon Heavy is essentially 3 Falcon 9 cores strapped together, making it one of the most powerful rockets currently in operation.
And then their Starship, their next-generation spacecraft, didn't they have a pretty impressive test flight recently?
Absolutely. They conducted 3 Starship test missions this year, with the most recent one on October 13th being particularly noteworthy. SpaceX successfully caught the massive Super Heavy booster midair using their Mechazilla launch tower. This was a major milestone in their quest to develop a fully reusable spacecraft capable of carrying crew and cargo to the Moon, Mars, and beyond.
Catching a rocket booster midair, it sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie.
It was a spectacular sight to behold, and a significant engineering achievement. Being able to catch the booster instead of landing it on a drone ship saves even more time and resources. It's all about efficiency and pushing the limits of reusability.
So they're not just making space travel more affordable, they're making it more efficient, too. That's incredible. But I do remember reading about some regulatory challenges they faced with Starship.
Yes, they encountered some hurdles with the FAA during the approval process for Starship tests. There were concerns about the environmental impact of the launches, particularly the sonic booms generated during reentry.
Ah, so it's a balancing act between pushing technological boundaries and addressing environmental concern.
Precisely. It's a complex issue with no easy answers. Elon Musk has been quite vocal about the delays caused by the regulatory process, but the FAA has a responsibility to ensure public safety and environmental protection.
It sounds like a constant push and pull between innovation and regulation. But even with those setbacks, they're still maintaining an impressive launch cadence. They initially projected up to 144 launches this year, and even though various delays brought them down to 99, it's still mind-blowing.
It certainly is. And remember, this is just one part of the story. We haven't even touched on the broader implications of their work, the potential for space tourism, the impact on global internet access, or the future of space exploration. There's a lot more to unpack. It's fascinating how SpaceX has really captured the public's imagination and reignited a passion for space exploration.
It's true. I remember when rocket launches were these rare, almost mythical events. Now, thanks to SpaceX, it feels like we're on the cusp of a new era of space travel.
Yeah, they've definitely made space cool again. And a big part of that is their relentless pursuit of reusability. By landing and reusing their boosters, they've made spaceflight more cost-effective and sustainable.
Which brings us back to their ambitious goal of making humanity a multiplanetary species.
Exactly. SpaceX isn't just about launching satellites or sending astronauts to the International Space Station. Their sights are set much higher. On Mars, to be specific. Elon Musk has been very vocal about his vision of establishing a self-sustaining city on the Red Planet. And SpaceX is the vehicle to get us there.
And Starship is their ticket to Mars, right? That massive spacecraft we were talking about earlier, the one they're catching midair.
Precisely. Starship is designed to be fully reusable and capable of carrying both crew and cargo to the Moon, Mars, and beyond. It represents a paradigm shift in terms of scale and ambition.
But haven't there been some setbacks with the Starship program? I vaguely recall reading about some explosive landings during testing.
Yes, there have been challenges along the way. Developing a spacecraft as complex as Starship is bound to encounter some hiccups. Early test flights did experience some less than graceful landings, but that's all part of SpaceX's iterative design process. They learn from each test, even the ones that don't go perfectly, and use that knowledge to improve the next iteration.
So it's a process of trial and error, constant refinement, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Exactly. And remember, they recently achieved a major breakthrough by successfully catching the Super Heavy booster mid-air. That's a testament to their progress and adaptability.
It's amazing how they're able to balance these ambitious long-term goals, like colonizing Mars, with their current operational demands, like launching all the Starlink satellites.
What's intriguing is how SpaceX's success is influencing the entire space industry. Their aggressive approach to innovation and cost reduction is forcing other companies and space agencies to adapt.
So they're not just building rockets and satellites, they're actually changing the game for everyone.
Absolutely. Their focus on reusability and vertical integration, basically controlling as much of the production process as possible, has set a new standard. Traditional aerospace companies are now scrambling to catch up, which ultimately benefits the entire industry and accelerates progress.
It's almost like they've sparked a new space race. But this time, it's about efficiency and innovation, not just national pride.
That's a great analogy. And the ripple effects extend far beyond the space industry. SpaceX's Starlink network, for example, is already providing internet access to remote areas that were previously underserved or completely off the grid. This has the potential to bridge the digital divide and empower communities around the world.
It's incredible how one company can have such a widespread impact on so many different aspects of our lives.
And it's not just about the technology itself. SpaceX has captured the public imagination in a way that few other companies have. They've made space cool again.
Totally. They've managed to generate this sense of excitement and possibility around space exploration. That was missing for a long time. It feels like we're on the cusp of a new era of space travel, and SpaceX is leading the charge.
It's a fascinating time to be following developments in the space industry. SpaceX is pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and it's hard to predict what they'll accomplish next.
It's definitely a story worth watching. Speaking of watching, what about the environmental impact of all these launches? Is there a downside to this increased activity in space?
That's an important question to consider. There's growing concern about the environmental impact of space launches, particularly the potential for increased atmospheric pollution and the accumulation of space debris.
So it's not all sunshine and roses then. There are some potential downsides to all this progress.
Well, every technological advancement comes with its own set of challenges. SpaceX is aware of these concerns and is actively working to mitigate their environmental footprint.
Like how? What are they doing specifically to address these concerns?
For instance, they're investing in sustainable rocket fuels and exploring ways to reduce the amount of debris generated by their launches. They've also implemented measures to track and deorbit their satellites at the end of their operational life, essentially ensuring they don't become permanent fixtures in orbit.
So they're taking steps in the right direction, but it sounds like there's still a lot more work to be done.
Absolutely. The environmental impact of space travel is a complex issue that requires ongoing research and innovation. As the space industry continues to grow, it's crucial that sustainability remains a top priority.
Okay, that's reassuring. I was starting to get a bit worried there for a minute.
It's good to be aware of the potential downsides, but it's also important to acknowledge the incredible progress that's been made. SpaceX is playing a key role in advancing our understanding of the universe and pushing the boundaries of human ingenuity.
And they're doing it with a flair that's hard to ignore. I mean, who doesn't love those dramatic booster landings?
They certainly know how to put on a show.
Okay, so we've talked about SpaceX's ambitious goals, their technological innovations, and even the environmental challenges they face. But what about the bigger picture? What does SpaceX's success mean for the future of space exploration as a whole?
That's a question that sparks endless debate and speculation. Some argue that SpaceX is ushering in a new era of private space exploration, where commercial companies play a leading role. Others believe that government agencies like NASA will continue to be the primary drivers of space exploration, with private companies playing a supporting role.
It's like there are two different visions for the future of space travel. One where private companies lead the way, and another where governments remain at the helm.
Exactly. And it's difficult to say which vision will ultimately prevail. What's clear is that SpaceX's success has shaken up the status quo and forced everyone to rethink the possibilities.
It's like they've injected a dose of healthy competition into the space industry.
Precisely. And competition often leads to innovation and progress. Whether SpaceX ultimately becomes the dominant force in space exploration or simply a catalyst for change, their impact is undeniable.
So what does this mean for the average person? Will we all be booking tickets to Mars anytime soon?
That's probably still a ways off. But SpaceX's vision of making space travel more accessible and affordable is a step in the right direction. Who knows, maybe one day space tourism will be as commonplace as air travel is today.
That would be amazing. Imagine taking a weekend trip to the moon.
It's certainly a possibility. But even if we don't personally get to experience space travel in our lifetimes, SpaceX's advancements are still significant. Their work is pushing the boundaries of human knowledge and inspiring a new generation of scientists, engineers, and dreamers.
You know, it's amazing when you think about it. SpaceX is single-handedly reshaping our relationship with space.
They really have.
Uh-huh.
From an ambitious startup to a major force in the space industry in just a few short years.
Yeah.
Yeah, their impact is undeniable and their story is far from over.
And it all started with a dream, right? Elon Musk's vision of making humanity a multiplanetary species.
Exactly. That audacious goal has been the driving force behind every decision SpaceX has made, from developing reusable rockets to building Starship. It's a vision that has captivated the world and inspired countless people.
But it's not just about getting to Mars, is it? SpaceX's innovations are having ripple effects across various industries and aspects of our lives.
You're right, their influence extends far beyond the realm of space travel, like their Starlink network. It's already revolutionizing internet access, particularly in remote and underserved areas. This has the potential to transform education, healthcare, economic development, and countless other fields.
It's almost like they're weaving a digital tapestry across the globe, connecting people in ways we never thought possible.
It is. And their advancements in rocket technology are also opening up new possibilities for scientific research, Earth observation, and even national security.
So they're not just launching satellites, they're launching a whole new era of possibilities.
That's a great way to put it. And it's all happening at an unprecedented pace. Their rapid launch cadence and iterative design approach are disrupting the traditional aerospace industry, forcing everyone to rethink the way things are done. They're inspiring a new generation of innovators who aren't afraid to challenge the status quo.
So it's like they've injected a Silicon Valley ethos into the space industry, emphasizing speed, agility, and disruption.
Exactly. Their culture of innovation and risk-taking is a stark contrast to the more bureaucratic and risk-averse approach of traditional space agencies. This has led to some friction, like we saw with the regulatory hurdles they faced with Starship. But it's also been a key driver of their success.
It really seems like SpaceX is always pushing the envelope, challenging the status quo and forcing everyone to think bigger and bolder.
And that's ultimately a good thing for humanity's progress, whether you agree with all their methods or not. There's no denying that SpaceX is making a significant contribution to our collective advancement. They're pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible.
So what's next for SpaceX? What can we expect to see from them in the coming years?
Well, they're certainly not slowing down. They're continuing to refine Starship with plans for orbital test flights, and eventually crewed missions to the Moon and Mars. They're also expanding their Starlink constellation, aiming to provide global internet coverage.
And let's not forget their continued involvement in human spaceflight. They have already sent astronauts to the International Space Station and are playing a key role in NASA's Artemis program, which aims to return humans to the moon.
It's truly a remarkable story unfolding before our eyes. Who knows what incredible feats they'll accomplish next? It's an exciting time to be following SpaceX's journey.
Well, one thing's for sure, SpaceX will continue to make headlines and push the boundaries of space exploration. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of SpaceX.
It's been my pleasure. And to our listeners, keep your eyes on the skies,
Yeah.
because the future of space exploration is unfolding right before our eyes.